Beautiful people, welcome to the Elevation Diaries, and today we are talking about what it truly means to identify your goals, stick to your goals, come up with a system that works for you. And this is going to be something a little bit different. Obviously, if you can tell by the location, I am actually in Cabo, if you can believe it. So what better place to really sit back, evaluate your goals with a view like the one that I have here, and just really be very mindful of the intention of what it means to be at this stage in life. So whether you're in Cabo, vacation, in your office, at home, at a coffee shop, it really doesn't matter. What matters is being very intentional about the purpose, and that is exactly what we're going to do today. Step by step, I'm going to break down the system that I use to identify my goals, stick to my goals, what happens when those things get off track, because before you can ever elevate yourself, you have to be crystal clear about what you want. And look, the second act of life can be the best act that you've ever lived if you're brave enough to write the script and stick to it. So go ahead and grab your planner, your notebook, whatever it is that you need to determine how to identify your goals, and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is out with the old and in with the new. We are living unapologetically from whenever you're watching this video. Now for me, this happens to be pretty much the halfway point of the year, which is also the beginning of a new quarter. Doesn't matter when you're watching this, but you need to get someplace quiet. You need to get someplace where you can focus, and we're going to sit down and reflect on where we have been. Now, if you didn't watch the Elevate Diaries, the very first episode, I gave you some homework about your non-negotiables. Those are going to be important, so go back and check out that video if you haven't. But I like to sit down and I like to think about what I was able to accomplish over the quarter. This is something that doesn't have to be huge. They can be minor accomplishments. I'm not gonna lie, this is a quarter where I kind of thrived. I really did hit some good milestones. And so I'm very satisfied. I completed 75 soft this quarter. That was a really big deal. Got back down to a size that I'm a lot more comfortable with. I was actually promoted at work to an elevated position, so that was a little bit unexpected. And then my channel grew to almost 12,000 subscribers. And I was also very excited to watch my daughter become a member of my sorority. So when I think back over this quarter, those were the things that I was able to accomplish and achieve. And the theme that is going to be constant throughout this video is that those things did not happen by chance. They happened because there was either a plan or hard work, sprinkled in always with a little bit of God's favor. But I really want you to think about what you've achieved, even though this may not be a quarter when you're watching it, over the last several weeks, and give yourself a pat on the back because you have accomplished something. So after I do the quarterly preview, I like to go back and I like to see what happened when I said this was the beginning of the quarter. So I am sharing and being very transparent with you. These are the things I said I wanted to do. I wanted to lose 15 pounds and do 75 soft. I wanted to go to 12K subs and secure 2 brand deals. I wanted to launch some planning at work. And then I also wanted to do a bit of prayer and meditation. So here is where you're going to see me going back and specifically looking at what I said I wanted to accomplish when the quarter started, and being very reflective on, was I able to hit that for myself? And sometimes I hit the goal, sometimes I don't. For 75 soft, I didn't lose 15 pounds, but I did complete 75 soft. For growing 12,000 subs on my channel, I'm right at 11,600 and something, and I did secure a brand deal. So that's not a goal that I necessarily accomplished in its entirety. And then the work planning, where it said TLAC, I absolutely nailed that as far as what we're doing at work, and I'm very proud of that. And then practicing deeper prayer and meditation. I think I was more mindful in my prayer and a little bit better at meditation, but not to the level that I wanted to. So even though I had these 4 goals, I always tell you guys time after time that it's about progress, not perfection. And so I was able to really make some momentum for that, but there are some loose ends that I need to tie up. So when you are thinking about your goals, make them ambitious, make them a little bit scary. As you can see, those were a lot of things that I really strived for. And then I really want you to think about what it means and why you have those goals. That's why I really asked you to think about what your non-negotiables are. Like, where do you see yourself in life? Where do you see yourself in a peaceful environment? Where do you see yourself in a happy environment? Where do you see yourself in a good physical environment? Like, having your non-negotiables helps you have a foundation in reflecting on where you've been, but more importantly, it gives you a very clear roadmap to where it is that you are trying to go. So as I'm reflecting on the quarter in the planner that I have, you just talk about the things of what you would have done differently and what are some things that you definitely need to maintain. So when I think back about some of these things, I definitely would have made a little bit more intention with my prayer and meditation. I would have reflected more. And that's why having a quiet place like this is just good to think, because I'm thinking like, girl, what could you have done better? What could you have done differently? And then just being very reflective and very mindful. I say this whole exercise probably should take you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, just depending on how deep you want to go. I've done it a lot of times, so I'm pretty quick with it. And so I'm able to kind of spend about 30 to 45 minutes just reflecting on where I need to go. So now that we know where we've been, it's just as important to know where we want to go. For me, that means the whole new planner. So here you can see me, and I'm actually going to walk you through the planner because so many of you ask about what the process looks like. So every time I start a new planner, every quarter, the very first thing I do is I write my name down, and I just think about who I am and who I am called to be. I think about all of the potential that's in front of me. I think about the gift that God has given me, that man, I'm here for another quarter and there's a whole clean slate in front of me. So the way that this planner is set up, it does start with a personal mission and personal values. So you don't need this planner to do that. There is a section called Vision Sketch, which I have never used. And this is the part that most of you are probably interested in. What are your annual goals? And you can see here, it actually has room for about 8 goals. I never exceed more than 3 to 4 goals in a quarter. Then it gets into goal detail, write your SMART goals, why you're motivated, how you're going to celebrate. And then in the planner, there is a calendar. If you notice, everything in here is blank. This is a planner that is utilized whenever you want, so you fill in the date. So if that's not your thing, you wouldn't like this planner. And then I absolutely love the wellness edition because there's a heart check and it asks you very insightful questions to get you to reflect, like, how are you feeling? What's important? What did you neglect? And then there's a self-care planner that you can also set up. And then when you want to do these things, whether it's the morning, the evening, the afternoon. So I'm going to sit here and I'm basically going to take the time to actually set up the planner. I do this usually in stages. If I'm super ambitious, I will sit down in one take and fill in all the dates, fill in all the times, answer all the questions. Because I am a reflector and that's what I'm doing here, I'm setting up my goals for this quarter. So I'm going to spend some time setting up the planner, but the primary purpose is, what are my goals for this year? I'm going to share them with you, and I'm going to put them out there so that you can know that this is real. My goals are to complete 75 soft round 2. I want to get into a size 8 pants. Y'all, I can get back into a size 8 dress, but a size 8 pants is a whole nother story. And I'm doing this because I want to be healthy. I want to feel better. I don't really care about looking better. I am now the chief of school improvement, so this is brand new. I want to launch that because I want the kids to win. There are so many obstacles in our society against our kids right now, and I need them to win. I want to grow this channel to 15,000 subs, and I want to get better at my content. My reward for that will be a new camera when the time comes. And I want to do better at stretching and meditating because I've got the physical, running, strength training, all of that kind of down. But I think stretching is so important because it leads to flexibility. And meditation is just a different gateway to prayer. So I really want to focus on that. So I want you to think about what your process is going to be and capture your goals, own them, because this quarter is going to be amazing.